I'm on a quest to find music and art. Supporting local talent is the place I start. Yeah, this is our culture, the place to be. Games, books, arts and crafts and jewelry. This the Guardians of the Geekery. 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 And now for today's episode of Guardians of the Geekery with your hosts, Matt, Carol, and Joey.
Holy moly! This is our first episode of 2026 of Guardians of the Geekery, the official podcast of the Charlotte Geeks. Amazing. Great to be back with everybody. We definitely want to do the podcast. On the last couple seasons, we've primarily focused on promoting the Geekery Market and talking to all the artisans, which is really a full plate. We actually end up producing more episodes than most podcasts, but we call us selfish. We miss each other, and we miss all of you Charlotte Geeks and beyond. We're huge in Peru, absolutely off the charts. So we've got we definitely have to support them, but we are going to primarily focus this episode on Stranger Things. I mean, 2016 until the last day of 2025, 42 episodes. We'll talk about, are there more? Are there not? all the fun stuff. But I mean, looking back at the vanishing of Will Byers all the way to the right side up, we're going to talk about some of the theories and stuff like that. But before we do, just wanted to have a quick update from the Giddy Geeker on how the Charlotte Geeks signature event and fundraising activity of the Geekery Market 2025 edition did with raising funds and food for the second harvest. So just want to do a quick little thing about that, just in case you haven't checked the socials of the Charlotte Geeks and Guardians of the Geekery. If not, why? Come on. But Giddy Geeker, how did we end up there?
Yeah, so this year's event was held on Saturday, November 15th, and it was a great day. We ended up having a very large, consistent crowd. It was a little cold in the building, but that's okay. We were warmed up by talking to each other, and our goal was to beat last year's goals. So we have been collecting funds since we have been doing a version of the Geekery Market since 2016, and over the years we have raised cash. We've also collected. We started off just by collecting food, and then we added in the raising cash element. And a couple years we had 2 events in a year, and then last year we just had the single event, and we ended up raising more in that single event than we had in any of the previous years. And then this year we wanted to beat that, and we beat it. We beat it soundly. So last year we had collected, 2024, let's be clear, because I know we're in 2026, we had collected 1,179 pounds of food. And for every pound, they equate that to being, so that's, 1,179. And then for every dollar we collected, they equate that to being the equivalent of 7 pounds of food. So last year we collected 2024, we collected $2,922 dollars in cash, and so that made our pound total in the 21,000 range. Well, this year we definitely wanted to do more, and our goal was 2,000 pounds of food and 3,000 in cash, because we had collected 1,100 pounds and $2,900 in cash. Well, not only did we raise 2,356 pounds of food, which was over double what we had done in 25. but we actually collected $3,500 in cash, so $500 over our goal. So that when you add the and do all the math, it comes out to 26,856 pounds worth of food. And that
Woo!
got distributed all across Second Harvest. So that was really cool. And one of the cool features, and you can go to our website at charlottegeeks.com, and it is still on the front page. And you can click in and see some pictures from the event as well as our goal totals. But we had author Garrett Overeem. He actually donated a 3D printed life-size version of a pit droid. So this was about 3.5, 4 feet tall. And we did that as a separate drawing, and that drawing alone raised $425 in ticket sales. And we were very, very excited about that. So in total, since we started doing the food donations as well as the cash back in 2017, because the first year we didn't do any food collecting. We started in 2016, 2017, we wanted to add the charity element. We have actually donated 79,000 pounds worth of food. And we have continued that we're committing in 310 days and 15 hours and 20 minutes when we'll be doing the next Geekery Market. Not that I'm counting or anything. We are going to do Second Harvest once again. So we just are so impressed and overwhelmed and humbled by the participation of everybody for this event. So you really turn our world upside down.
Nice seg.
So Conformity Gate, you may have heard of it, you may have not, but Stranger Things, if you haven't heard of it, what planet are you living on? So but or what time zone, what mirror planet are you on? But Carol, I know you
Yes.
have been following this pretty
Yeah. I will say we are
obsessively.
recording this um at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 7th. So if there is a super secret episode that is going to drop, it will drop in about 1 hour and 20 minutes. So I will be checking my Netflix, but I don't believe it is true. First off, let's
Unless
just
they do the seven, you know.
yeah, we'll get to the end bit, but first off, what were your thoughts on season 5 as a whole?
I enjoyed it. I know it was not what people were expecting. I think there's a
I know
certain
it.
group that is always going to be unsatisfied with any edit ending of any series that they love because we all think in our mind what we think should happen, right? But I enjoyed it. I did feel like it was quieter because we didn't have all of these Game of Thrones Red Death moments that everybody was expecting. Um, but I felt like it was valid. So I enjoyed it. We definitely always said we were only going to watch one episode per day to make it last, and we binged every release. We watched it all in one sitting. Now, we didn't necessarily watch it the day it dropped because we had life. But like within a couple days, we would say, okay, let's watch one episode. And next thing we know, we had watched all four of the first. And then, the day after Christmas, we watched the next three. And then uh, New Year's Day or the day after New Year's Day, we watched the final. So, but that was my opinion. Matt?
Yeah, I really specifically season 5. Yeah, I think it was at the Christmas Day. Is that when they dropped the?
Yeah.
And again, I can't remember if
Yeah.
we actually ended up watching Christmas night or the next day. It's all kind of a blur. But I did think that was
I think we watched it the next day because we went
oh, okay.
to
Oh yeah,
the,
yeah. We went there.
yeah,
Yes, my mom
yeah.
and so yeah. Yeah, so I thought parts of that were slow, and I remember even Giddy Geeker was like, "Okay, okay, we got it. Can we just go on to the next thing?" And I agree with that, and you know, but it didn't. it's still like Joey was saying, Get a Geek was saying, it didn't take away the enjoyment of it, because when that end of an episode would end and there was another episode, we were like, oh, we got to know what's going on now, and like we broke our rule right away. So I don't think it ultimately suffered, and but then of course the final drop on New Year's Eve. I think we watched it New Year's Day, but that was just, to me, that I thought it was perfect. I know I've seen a couple things that Giddy Geeker shown me on TikTok about people nitpicking, and yeah, everybody can do that. I mean, with something this long, um, it's just really tough to please everybody. But I thought they stuck the landing, and just what a fantastic overall, just a fantastic homage to anybody who's ever played Dungeons and Dragons or Gen X, lived in the
Yeah.
80s, and kind of the horror of just being a teenager in in the 80s, and that kind of freedom where your parents really didn't know where you were most of the time. Uh,
No,
Yeah, there's definitely been
you
people
know,
on TikTok that were like,
yeah,
"Is that how it really was in
yeah,
the 80s?" And I
yes.
was like,
There were
"Yes."
literal commercials at 10 o'clock before the news saying it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Because
right.
half
Because
the time they didn't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, and that was playing by the rules of your parents. Like,
Yeah.
there were a ton of kids who snuck out when they got a little bit older, myself included. So it's like we didn't have the ring alarm on the door, so I mean, if they didn't hear you, a creaky stair, I mean, you could get out.
There you
I mean,
go.
you could kind of do what you wanted to do, and I think part of that is good, and part of that obviously was bad, but the three of us at least survived it, and so many others of the Gen X. But then also, I mean, it's just really cool to see like kids who like it too. People who are kids now. I mean, that's just absolutely amazing, and getting into Dungeons and Dragons now, which I don't know if I ever played it correctly. We would actually play in my basement, because in Ohio, and we had a really creepy basement, so it kind of added to it. But I don't know if we ever played it correctly. We did our best, but boy, we always had a lot of fun, and what a great way back then, without phones to distract you, just to bond with your friends, and and use your imagination, because I mean, you had a couple little illustrations in your manual for the module, but that was kind of it. I mean, it was really in your brain, and then you start having the miniatures and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just what a fantastic collaboration of imagination. So I thought overall, yeah, it just was phenomenal, and very excited. And I know I think they're gonna do like a animated.
Yeah,
um
they're doing an animated
yeah.
series, which I'm
And
hoping is in the style of like He-Man. That would that would be
oh,
cool.
okay.
Or G.I. Joe, like an
Something of
80s
the era.
cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Or the Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah.
short-lived cartoon. Yeah, that
Oh,
would
Yes.
be
yeah,
Just
fun.
something
yeah,
that's very
yeah.
80s nostalgic. I hope they do that.
Yeah.
That'd
Um,
be awesome.
I did think this season was probably the weakest season, but I knew it was going to be because
You
it had
can't
grown
set
so
up a bunch of
large.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it had grown
Yeah.
so large that the cast was kind of like spilling all over each other, and suddenly you have, this tender coming out scene, and it's 15 people, which he doesn't really know. And I'm like, okay, this is awkward.
Uh, so,
So it's just, I think the plot had grown so large that it was inevitable that it was not going to satisfy everybody. I
yeah.
think it is damn near impossible to end a show on a note that is satisfying to the vast majority of fans. I can only think of two off the top of my head, and that's The Good Place, and BoJack Horseman. I can't think of any other
I think the
show.
last episode of Cheers, the last 5 minutes,
Okay,
that
yeah,
was a good
MASH
ending. Yeah,
and MASH.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Mash.
it's rare that a show gets that correct. I mean, obviously, we just lived through Game of Thrones, and they just did a hatchet job of the entire last season. I don't think this season of Stranger Things is, when I say it's the weakest, it's because one of them has to be the weakest. I don't think it's bad. I just think it
Yeah.
became scenes of people explaining things to other people, and that slowed down the plot quite a bit.
You couldn't add in huge storylines.
Yeah,
There was definitely plot holes, but like there was parts where it's like, okay, but we need to get this to this end.
yeah.
And,
Eh,
as somebody who plays World of Warcraft and some of those, I was not a huge Dungeons and Dragons person at the age. My one brother played, but we were very Christian. So, that whole,
Satanic
it's
Panic.
said, yeah, yeah. So that was a big part of that. And then when I got to be older, whenever I tried to play Dungeons and Dragons, the groups just kept falling apart. But, I've learned a lot of the lore because of playing World of Warcraft and all that kind of stuff because it's the same kind of players and skill sets and different things like that. And even though I was not, I'm always like, can I just go kill stuff now? Like, but I feel like one of the big complaints was, the final boss scene of killing Vecta did not take an hour of that 2 hours. But
That
it's
the thing
because they had
is,
been it took four
it took
seasons, four and a
four and
half
three quarter
seasons.
seasons. So
I mean, we
they've been
started
fighting him for that long, not this long, that
we
long. They just had him
we
in his, a bad place here. So
yeah, we started the season showing, Elle training. Like
yeah,
they've all been, Steve had his bat. I mean, like they've done guerrilla warfare. They have trained for this. And if you have trained for these things, you are not, it should not be a forever
yeah,
game. Like they knew what to do. And I think there were excellent parts of that fight. And the fight, if it had gone on too long, would not have been realistic. The only thing that was really funny to me is I kept saying, "Why is Joyce there? Why is Joyce there? Why is
she was
Joyce
saying
there?"
so she could
Now
wield the
she got
sword.
her vindication at the end, but
Yes.
I have to say now when she was fighting Vecna in the barn, she sucked. Like she did not land one hit. She
Well,
was fighting,
Yeah.
but she did not land one hit,
yeah.
right?
Well, she landed the
She
one that counted.
but she did. I mean, once he was staked to the heart and bleeding out, she got him. And I thought that was an epic scene. But it was really funny because she was just like, reality was that was really, I mean, she did not, I guess some of the previous seasons, she did not have the amount of time in the upside down that the others did. You right?
No,
Like,
because I
Yeah.
mean, her whole plot line last season was Russia.
yeah. So like that was she never really was in the upside down the way the others were. So she just kind of hung back and was having to absorb all this information, right? Where everybody else had either been in the upside down or had seen it through one of the portals or something.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, she had
that was
some,
fun.
but it wasn't, yeah. I think they cut Joyce way back this season, but it again, that's just because there were so many characters. What were you going to do with them all?
Yeah.
Right.
And they added, they beefed up one character and aged her up a bit. And then they brought in a new character, Derek. So um they just kept adding characters. I know one of the big complaints is that nobody died. Um, I'm okay with that. I'm
But
seriously,
see,
I'm okay with
and
that.
that's the difference. They told you to watch like Back to the Future and the Goonies and stuff
And the
like that.
Goonies, yeah, and
None
it's
of
like,
those characters died. Like,
yeah, one of the
what
best
made
comments
you
I
think?
heard was, "You don't kill half the Goonies at the end of the Goonies."
Right.
Right,
So
like that's it, So I agree. I agree. I was okay.
I did not mind, and I liked. Okay, we'll get into Conformity Gate here in a second, but I like the ending because it leaves Elle's fate up to you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like Pan's. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro film. I highly recommend it. It is in Spanish. You have to read subtitles, but it has the same type of ending where it's like you can believe she's dead, or you can believe this really happiness thing. So it's what you want to believe. And yeah, I like that they left that kind of ambiguous. And I like the whole Stephen King, this person went here and their love grew and this person went to college.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious that Mike is like a Stephen King insert at the
Esque.
end of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. An
at the end of
homage to
that.
Stephen King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that. I know another big controversy is that there was no romance between Mike and Will. And I'm like,
Oh.
never saw anything like that in Mike, so I'm not certain where that was coming from. But
It's odd.
um and I uh
I feel
I
like
like
that
what
would
they
have
did
been
with Will.
forced.
It
Yeah.
would have been very forced. I like what they did with Will. I actually think that had there, like I said, had there been like this auditorium full of people, his speech would have been actually it was very good. I just that was just such an awkward scene because there was just so many people staring at this kid.
Yeah.
Like, oh dude, you should have just taken your family aside. And I'm also glad they didn't do the trite thing, we know type thing.
Uh,
I've seen that so many times, where it's turned into a comedic moment, and I'm glad they didn't do that.
yeah.
And I also thought it was really important that they did that little scene on the tower where Mike's like, Will's like, "You're still my friend." He's like, "No, I'm your best friend." I thought that was actually really nice too. So
I thought that was
It was
great.
sweet.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, and I also thought the conversations between Jonathan and
yeah,
Steve similar. Like, you don't have to like me, but we can both agree that she's not doesn't like either of
yeah.
us that way. And then
And I
he's
appreciated that too, that
yeah,
they didn't feel forced to pair Nancy up with one of those two because she was
yeah,
just either one of them deserved her.
yeah. No, she
I
had
agree.
her total Sigourney Weaver haircut moment of being in that, back to the wall scene, and I think it made her a stronger person. Um, I do think it was interesting that she quit school because if you remember the very first episode, she had gone from being the brainiac to now she had blossomed
Yeah,
into this girl that was attractive to Steve. And then she still maintained the brainiac all the way through while being the adventurer, and then realized really the adventurer is where she needs to be. But I think the only thing that I was disappointed with, but I realized that it would have caused more issues because they would have had to go through some kind of mourning, was that Bob Wheeler made it. I kind of wanted, because we've typically had at least
Ted
one
Wheeler,
Ted Wheeler, okay,
Ted Wheeler, yeah,
but
Bob died
we've
in season
typically
two.
yeah, but we've had the bees dying all along,
Mhm.
so yeah. But can I just say the thing? Okay, my husband is on the podcast. My husband is on the
You're fine. You're fine.
the pictures of the guy who played Ted Wheeler
Oh, I
on
know.
the red carpet, he cleans up nice.
He cleans up very nicely. Yes, indeed. I was like, what
But
the
part of
hell,
that is
Mr.
because he
Wheeler?
has hair similar to my husband. So there
Yeah,
you go. And a
Oh,
beard
yeah.
similar to my husband. So but yeah, no, he cleaned up very nice on the red carpet. And I was like, where was that guy? Like now I can understand why Karen Wheeler like married him. I don't know why she stayed with him. I think they should have been like separated or divorced, but in the 80s that didn't really
That didn't
happen.
really
So,
happen unless it was something weird. Um, but yeah, I think the final episode um was about as good an episode as we were gonna get.
yeah.
I don't think it's perfect, but I also don't think it's absolutely terrible. And I do think they like I I will say I think 11 should have been given a little bit more to do in the final season, but that's also just because the cast was just so freaking huge
yeah.
at that point. So Conformity Gate. So the theory is that that was not the last episode. The Right Side Up was not the last episode. That the moment where Steve falls, there's a 7-second black screen, And at that moment, Vecna won. And everything that happened after that is the happy place that he put them all. Like,
Right.
Holly was in the nice house with her
Yeah.
Tiffany cassette. Um, this is the happy ever after that he's feeding their brains because they're all attached to him. Um, and some of the people picking apart this episode, some of the things that they've noticed are the graduation gowns should have been green instead of orange. Um, the Hellfire Club logo on Dustin's shirt changed.
But it
The
said Hellfire Lives, not Hellfire
lives,
Club.
yeah. And it
And
looked like he drew it. It looked like he
right.
drew it. So that I was like,
Yeah,
the
like dude, get over
strange,
it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the strange eeriness of the whole graduation scene when Mike comes in, everybody just stops and waits for Karen to go hug Mike and they have their little talk. And then everything starts picking back up again. And it's like, that's kind of odd. Um, the fact that you don't get any sort of epilogue for Murray or Vicky, and those are two characters that Vecna never met, so he doesn't know they exist. So
Right.
Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of little tiny things that are strange.
The
Um,
fact that everybody sat similarly, but
Similarly to Vecna, with their hands held the same way as Vecna did. Um, just
Yeah.
it's just there's a whole lot of little tiny things that people have been picking apart, saying this just doesn't add up. The way the books lined up, the D&D books when they put them on the shelf, it lined up to say X alive. So it and the marketing material, the marketing stuff that they're sending out for Stranger Things has like hidden Vecna Lives messaging in the designs. So I think personally, well, I don't think we're getting another episode. Um, I think this is Netflix marketing just having some fun with fans.
well,
And
and
that some
Jimmy
of these were
Fallon
very,
has done
yeah,
some a lot of celebrities and media sources have picked up on Conformity Gate and have just run away with it because it's fun.
yeah.
And so, Campbell Bower was on the other night and he was doing a Vecna 80s fitness look with
Hmm.
Jimmy dressed up as Derek the Delightful behind him and stuff and was saying key phrases. And then people are counting if any message or sentence is only 7 words long. And the fact that there's like a dice in the final scenes where it shows the Dungeons and Dragons playbook and the
Yeah,
die over on the corner is rolled to 7, which is the same number that Will rolled right before he went missing that started
that,
this whole thing.
yeah,
So,
that made them lose. So they're also like questioning how can Max be graduating when she was in a coma for 2 years? Um,
yeah.
how is Steve a teacher
But
when just last year he was working in a mall ice cream shop?
yeah.
There's just a whole lot of time inconsistencies there. Um, but like I said, I think this is a very fun theory, and I do think some of the marketing people, particularly the social marketing people, the social media people, are having fun with fans.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think they're
Because
Yeah.
just
that causes people, I mean, people have been logging into Netflix every hour
yeah,
on the hour today.
just to
Um,
check, just to see if
just to
anything's
check. They've been
updated.
hitting
Right.
all the social media accounts to see if there's any clues. There was a picture of the teacher, Mr. Clark, and
Yep,
the clock behind him said 107.
7,
So that's
and
why
that's
they were
the
saying
7th.
January 7th was the date, and the fact that,
There was
um,
a 6-minute black screen or the 7-second black screen when Steve
and there
fell.
was 7 seconds between the seven, not 7 minute black screen, but a 7 second black screen,
Hmm.
and a
Oh yeah,
7 second um, between the lightning
yeah,
over the building when Elle was trying to figure out how to get into the lab to find which she ultimately found Kaylee. So yeah, I mean I get it. But it's just like Taylor Swift fans, like if you're a Taylor Swift fans, yes, she puts Easter eggs in places. but then people find Easter eggs that she did not put in there, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe the orange gowns were a nod to all the Taylor Swift fans because of the new album. I mean, you know, the fact that there was a guy wearing a Duffers t-shirt videotaping, that was just for them. That was a fun thing for them. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like it's all those times when people say that they've calculated when the end of the world is, and then the leader comes back and says,
I
"Okay, well, I
miscalculated.
miscalculated." Yeah, that's a lot
Yeah,
of
and I'm
my feed
sure,
on TikTok today is,
yeah, a
you
lot
know,
of that
guys,
will
it's
be,
not going to be till 8 o'clock. Why would it be 8? 8 does not have anything. 1 and 7 equals 8. So it'll be 8 p.m., which would be 5 p.m., you know, Pacific time. It was like,
yeah. So
I
mm,
I do
they don't roll it out.
I do think Netflix, if it still exists 10, 15, 25 years from now, if the world's still here, that they will definitely go for some kind of reunion. And I guess the good thing about a huge cast is even if they can only get like 5 people instead of 25, they're
Yeah,
they've
they've
got
got,
enough to do a spinoff,
and boy,
limited
the Stranger
series.
Things
Uh,
conventions that are coming down the pipe. Wow,
oh
they'll just
man,
they have a whole cast of characters to choose from.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm sure 10, 20 years from now they'll just reboot the damn thing and redo it.
Uh,
yeah.
But
Just so you know, I am on Netflix right now because it is 7:04, and just it's still saying new episode, but there is
but
not.
it's just that new. It's just
Yeah,
the New Year's episode.
yeah. So
It's
just in
done,
case you
everyone.
were wondering,
It's done. If it's not done, you can come at me, but it's done. It's done. Just, they'll have the cartoon and we'll have a behind the scenes on the 12th. And
yeah,
you'll have the episodes to watch and rewatch and pick them apart and you
yep.
have fan fiction.
oh yeah.
Write some fan fiction.
Yeah, and I mean, there's official comic books and all kind of stuff.
Yep.
I haven't
There's
even gotten into the
books.
comic books. I mean, there's yeah, just tons of stuff to keep exploring and understand and expanding your love of the series. So, yeah.
Well, they had a Netflix puzzle you could have played, and then they had
Ah,
this Squawk app that you could listen to where it had Mindy Flair and Vance Goodman, which, you know, Vance, you just turn things around and it becomes Vecna. And then Mindy Flair is Mind Flayer. So, you know, I mean, and they would give little hints. I will say, one of the things that concerned me with this episode is there was so much hype. There was so much merch going on. They were just squeezing every single drop out of you. Um, and so it just really like all these commercials that you'd never like all this cross
Discover
branding
card.
discover.
Oh my God.
But
When I
but I say the best one was Karen Wheeler doing the laundry because of the scene that we got
oh
with
yeah,
her
with her,
in the
yeah.
uh,
hospital. That
That
was
one
the
was
best
good.
commercial. I I
But I
I
agree.
doffed my hat.
The I'm sure they're regretting signing their ironclad contracts saying that they had to do all of this marketing material, these poor kids. But yeah, it was pretty ridiculous how much stuff was just out there. But then I look at other franchises and I'm like, they're just
Yeah,
trying
I
to
mean,
take what the market.
well, and they're trying to fund their next project, so you know you play nice with the
Yeah.
sandbox, right? So, but yeah, so Duffers. So I'll tell you one thing that broke my heart today was the fact that I had a one-on-one with a coworker, you know, like after holiday get together, and we're on camera, and she had on a Montauk Country Club shirt, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! I love the Montauk shirt." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I heard they have the best beaches," and I'm like, "In Indiana?" And she's like, "No, Montauk, New York." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, Montauk is actually the name that it was originally, you know, based
Yeah.
on and all that kind of stuff." And she was like, "Oh." And she had no idea. She goes, "Well, that show was for kids, right?" I'm like, If you were a
Oh,
kid
No.
during the 80s, I said there were kids as the actors, but it's not necessarily a kids show. Um,
Yeah. Although I
it's a
did watch the last
story.
episode with a 14-year-old and she adored it.
Well, of
oh.
course, but 14 is different than like
Yeah, then like
if they had
don't let your
watched it.
7-year-old watch this.
Yeah, like just because the actors were playing 9 and 10 doesn't mean that that's who should be watching it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah. No, but yeah, so Conformity Gate, I want to believe, um, throwback to X-Files. Um, I want to believe, but I don't know.
I won't say no to another episode.
Yeah. I mean, I think here's my thing. I know that they were doing like there's a choose your own adventure spin-off. They did like a Nancy Wheeler, Nancy Drew type of book
Hmm.
series, and we were going to have the animated comics and different things like that. I think that some of it was choose your own adventure. I mean, I think the way that they played the final D&D game
Yeah,
did exactly that. It said, you can choose to frame this how you want because you've lived through it. Now you've got to get past it. So you could frame it how you want. I mean, I thought that Murray was going to die. I thought
yeah,
he was one of the five. And the fact that he became friends with Mr. Clark and was in the graduation scene, really the only
yeah.
one that wasn't in the graduation scene was Vicky that I saw.
Vicky, and I think they hinted that
Dale,
they had broken up, but
yeah, that she was overbearing or whatever.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so like Vicky was the only one that probably, and that's because she wasn't there as much. Mr. Clark had been
yeah,
there the whole time. Murray had been there, since what, season 2 or whatever. But um,
yeah,
they were still acknowledged. They were there at the graduation, but they don't need to have an end story. The only one that I felt like had the probably the worst storyline was Erica. Because even though she came in and she was fierce and whatever, they were like, oh
yeah. There
crap.
was
But like how
she
did
was
she
also
get missed?
valedictorian
Yeah, but how did she get away? Like, how did she get away from
from
the,
the well.
I don't like
The other
that they
question
did.
is why did the other question, and the one thing that I do regret, or I do think is kind of bad about this episode, is they don't return to the military at all.
Yeah, they don't
They
explain how that just went away. They
Yeah,
just,
just I'm not buying that the military would just go, oh well, we that broke. I guess we can go now.
yeah.
I mean, there was a
I
whole
mean,
squad of
like,
guys down in the under in the down under in the upside down. They
well,
all just died.
how did they not go after Will? Even though
Yeah.
Will's connection was broken
Yeah,
with
they
Vecna,
would still
they would still try to torture him to get
yeah.
that blood if that's what they were after.
But yeah, so
And
the
I
whole
don't think that, I
military
feel
thing,
like they did Linda Hamilton dirty. She should have,
yeah. I think
she
the
was,
military could have been left out of this entire season, frankly. I don't think it added all that much other than a military base in the Upside Down, which I'm not quite sure how they built in a year.
yeah,
One of the
yeah,
many questions that won't be answered.
right.
But
Yeah, I just feel like, they could have done more with Linda Hamilton's character at the end. I was glad that she was smart enough to figure out how they were getting into the military base and stuff like that, but they didn't resolve that storyline at all. They
no,
didn't, whether even if it was that they canceled her funding and made her come back as there was something else. That's what I wonder if there's going to be like they talk about, we could have left all of this with the Russians. We could have left all this with the Russians. Is she going to pop up with the Russians and that's going to be part of the spinoff that she's going to be in the new
that could be.
series?
I'm sure they left the military alone so they could put them into any spin-off series that they have.
Right. So, yeah. But I appreciated Conformity Gate. I did have a few moments where I was actually like, okay,
Wow, yeah,
that's
so was
valid.
I. So was
But
I.
but yeah, I think
But no,
all
I
the
don't
good
think it's
things
happening.
must come to an end. and sometimes you just have to let it go. So,
Well, this was a fun discussion.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, if there are other things that you would like to see us talk about, other shows or episodes, we are going to be trying to introduce you to some of the people in the neighborhood that maybe are not necessarily part of the Geekery Market, but are part of our Carolinas community. And we want to make sure we give opportunities to highlight them. So we'll be doing that. If you know of somebody that you think would be a good potential partner on our
Guest.
show, let us know. Guest, that's the word I was looking for. I'm a little tired, folks. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. I've been staying up with all the theories, so no, I was staying up trying to. Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a little bit rough this year. We're 2026. We're in a new year. We're gonna
26. Yep.
just
Yes.
hope for the best.
We're
But
putting
yeah,
2025 behind us. All right. Well, until next time, it was good talking to you all.
I'm Joey.
I'm Carol.
I'm strange.
All right, see you next time.
That was an episode of Guardians of the Geekery. Thank you for listening. Check us out at guardiansofthegeekery.com and stay tuned for more content.